Here's a challenge. What if you never had to decide to save money at all? Because it happens automatically. While most people rely on willpower to build wealth, there's a small group of individuals who've cracked a different code entirely. They build fortunes without thinking about it, without struggling, without the constant mental battle of choosing between spending and saving. They've discovered what I call stealth wealth psychology, the science of making wealth accumulation invisible, effortless, and completely automatic. Today, we're diving deep into the psychological principles that separate those who build wealth quietly from those who struggle visibly. This isn't about discipline or motivation. This is about rewiring your brain to make wealth building as automatic as breathing. Welcome to the Wealth Mind, where psychology meets financial automation. I'm about to reveal 5 psychological principles that will fundamentally change how you think about building wealth. These insights come from behavioral finance, research, neuroscience studies, and the real-world habits of individuals who've accumulated serious wealth without anyone noticing. The psychology behind stealth wealth isn't about hiding money, it's about understanding how your brain works and designing systems that exploit those psychological patterns to build wealth automatically. In the next few minutes, you'll discover why your brain sabotages manual saving attempts, how to trick your psychology into paying your future self first, and the mental frameworks that make compound interest work while you sleep. Chapter 1. The Psychology of Automation. Your brain has a fatal flaw when it comes to building wealth, and understanding this flaw is the key to everything. Neuroscience research reveals that willpower is a finite resource. Every financial decision you make depletes what psychologists call your decision-making bandwidth. By the end of the day, your brain is exhausted from choices, making you far more likely to choose immediate gratification over long-term wealth building. This is why manual saving fails. It's not about discipline, it's about biology. The wealthy understand this psychological limitation and design around it. They automate their wealth building so completely that their conscious mind never gets involved in the process. Here's how the psychology works. When money automatically transfers from your paycheck to investments before you see it, your brain treats that money as if it never existed. Psychologists call this mental accounting. Your brain literally creates separate psychological buckets for different types of money. The stealth wealth psychology principle. If your brain never sees the money, it never feels deprived. Consider this real example. A teacher I know set up a $50 weekly transfer from her paycheck directly to her brokerage account. She jokes that she can't even remember her login because she never needs to check it. That's the beauty of this system. It runs in the background, reducing temptation and making savings feel effortless. Over the years, those small regular transfers accumulated significantly, all without requiring any conscious thought or daily decisions. The psychological insight here is profound. Automation doesn't just move money, it removes the mental friction that kills wealth building. When you never see the money in your spending account, you're less likely to miss it or feel deprived. Chapter 2. The Psychology of Lifestyle Inflation. There's a psychological trap that destroys more wealth than market crashes, inflation, or economic recessions combined. It's called lifestyle creep, and it operates completely under your conscious awareness. Here's how your brain sabotages your wealth building. As your income increases, your lifestyle automatically expands to match it. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation, your brain's tendency to return to a baseline level of satisfaction despite positive changes. This means that every raise, every bonus, every increase in income gets psychologically absorbed by small lifestyle upgrades that feel insignificant but compound into massive wealth destruction. The psychology is insidious because these upgrades feel rational. A better car, a nicer apartment, a few more nights out, none of these feel like wealth-destroying decisions. But collectively, they ensure that no matter how much you earn, your bank balance never improves. I know someone who received a significant promotion as a graphic designer. Instead of upgrading her lifestyle immediately, she made a psychologically brilliant decision. She kept living with roommates for 2 more years. This allowed her to save $500 every month, money she could have easily spent on rent. But rather than letting those savings sit idle, she invested them in a real estate investment trust. Over time, the dividends from that investment grew to nearly cover her new rent when she finally upgraded her living situation. This decision didn't just delay gratification, it built a passive income stream that made her eventual lifestyle upgrade far less stressful. The stealth wealth psychology principle. Every dollar you don't spend on immediate upgrades is a dollar that can be invested and allowed to grow. Behavioral finance experts recommend what they call lifestyle freezing, holding off on any major upgrades for 12 months after every raise. This isn't about deprivation. It's about letting your money work for you before you let it work for your lifestyle. The psychological power lies in the compounding effect. Every dollar you don't spend on lifestyle inflation is a dollar that can generate returns for decades. Over time, these small repeated decisions create massive differences in net worth. Chapter 3. The Psychology of Compound Interest. Compound interest is what quietly transforms small habits into life-changing wealth. But the psychology behind it reveals why most people never harness its power. Your brain is wired for immediate gratification. It struggles to value future rewards, even when those rewards are mathematically guaranteed to be larger. Psychologists call this present bias, the tendency to overvalue immediate rewards and undervalue future ones. This psychological flaw explains why a $20 weekly investment feels insignificant, even though it can become a fortune over decades. Let me share a story that demonstrates the psychological power of starting early. A college intern started investing just $20 a week into a Roth IRA at age 19. With an average return of 8% per year, she's projected to retire with nearly $1 million. That's not from some windfall or high-stakes investment. It's the result of a simple, consistent action repeated over decades. The earlier you start, the more dramatic the effect. The psychology of compound interest works like this. You invest your money, it earns returns, and those returns are reinvested to generate even more returns over time. This cycle accelerates. The longer your money stays invested, the greater the snowball effect. To understand the psychological impact, consider two scenarios. One person begins investing $50 a week at age 22. Another waits until age 32 but invests $100 a week, double the amount. Despite the second person's larger contribution, the first ends up with more wealth at retirement. That decade of extra compounding makes all the difference. The stealth wealth psychology principle: time beats timing every time. The mathematical reality is that if you invest $20 a week for 40 years at an 8% return, you'll end up with over $240,000. Stretch that to 50 years and the total grows to nearly $600,000. In the beginning, growth seems slow. The first few years might only add up to a few thousand. But as your investments gain momentum, the returns themselves begin to generate their own returns. This is when the curve steepens and your wealth starts to grow exponentially. The psychological beauty of this approach is that it takes the pressure off. You don't have to stress about picking the perfect stock or getting the timing just right. Instead, you're building wealth in the background, letting mathematics work for you. Chapter 4: The Psychology of Privacy. The final piece of stealth wealth psychology involves protecting what you've built. This goes beyond growing money. It's about understanding how privacy affects your ability to maintain and grow wealth. There's a psychological phenomenon that destroys wealth faster than poor investment choices: social pressure. When your financial progress becomes visible, you face expectations, requests, and pressures that can derail your wealth building entirely. The psychology is straightforward. Visible wealth creates social obligations. Family members expect loans. Friends assume you can afford expensive activities. Society expects status displays that drain your assets. One effective strategy comes from a friend who manages her 3 rental properties under the name Oak Street Holdings LLC. When someone searches public property databases, they see the company name, not hers. This simple tactic shields her from awkward conversations and unwanted requests from relatives who might otherwise see her as a source of financial help. Her tenants don't know her personal details, and even at family gatherings, there's no hint of her growing real estate portfolio. The result: she enjoys the income and security her investments provide without the complications that come from being visibly wealthy. The stealth wealth psychology principle: privacy protects your mental space and your money. When you keep your financial progress private, you free yourself from the psychological pressure to justify your choices or explain your strategy. This allows you to stick to your plan even when others might question why you aren't spending more. There's also what I call anonymous generosity psychology. Giving quietly, like paying for the car behind you or slipping a grocery gift card to a family in need, lets you use your resources positively without drawing attention. This reinforces the idea that money is a tool for positive change, not a way to signal status. It also helps you avoid the expectations that come with public acts of generosity. The psychological benefit is significant. You're able to prioritize freedom and security over fleeting validation. When your giving is invisible, you keep the focus on impact rather than recognition. The psychology of stealth wealth, your complete framework. Building stealth wealth isn't about hiding money, it's about understanding the psychology that makes wealth accumulation effortless and sustainable. Let me summarize the 4 psychological principles that transform ordinary people into quiet millionaires. The automation psychology. Your brain has limited willpower, so remove it from the equation entirely. Set up systems that move money before you see it, eliminating the psychological friction that kills wealth building. The anti-inflation psychology. Every raise is an opportunity to strengthen your financial foundation, not just your lifestyle. Resist the psychological urge to upgrade immediately and channel that money into investments that generate passive income. The compound psychology. Start as early as possible, even with small amounts. Your brain struggles to value future rewards, but mathematics doesn't lie. Time and consistency create exponential growth. The privacy psychology. Keep your wealth building invisible to protect it from social pressure and psychological interference. Anonymous progress leads to authentic financial freedom. When you combine these principles, you create a complete system for financial growth and protection. You're not just growing wealth, you're shielding it from the psychological forces that destroy it. Your action step. Right now, log into your payroll system and schedule your first automatic transfer. Start with whatever amount you can afford. The psychology matters more than the dollar amount. If you're ready to think like the wealthy and automate your path to financial freedom, subscribe to The Wealth Mind. Every week, we decode the psychological patterns behind lasting wealth. Until then, pay your future self first and let the psychology of stealth wealth work for you.